Hello, good morning everyone. My name is FIKO Franko and I would like to present my material about native-like proficiency in English. So, in native-like proficiency in English, we we may we may heard the term of near native speaker. What is a near native speaker? In linguistics, the term near native speakers is used to describe speakers who have achieved levels of proficiency that cannot be distinguished from native levels in the everyday spoken communication and only become apparent through detailed linguistic analysis. In their second language or foreign language, analysis of native and near-native speakers indicates that they differ in their underlying grammar and intuition, meaning they do not interpret grammatical contrast the same way. However, this divergence typically does not impact a near-native speaker's regular usage of the language. What factors that lead the near-native speakers towards that they want to be near native speakers? So first is their motivations. Motivation acts as a tool for near native speakers in attaining near native proficiency. Late learners of a second language who show native-like proficiencies are typically motivated to sound like natives and to attain high levels of proficiency for professional reasons. Near-native speakers also tend to embark on careers that are related to the second language, such as route translators or language teachers. Training. To sound like non-native learners can take up suprasegmental and segmental training. In a study on graduate students of the German language who only had exposure and formal instruction in the German language after the age of 11, those who had suprasegmental and segmental training were more likely to be rated to be close to no-native speakers of German for recordings of their speech samples. Similarly, near-native Dutch learners of English were reported to also have received training on the phonemes of English. These studies highlight the importance of suprasegmental and segmental training in language pedagogy, especially for late learners of a target language who are motivated to sound like native speakers. Typological similarity between the first language and the target language. The extent to which late learners can achieve near-native speaker status could also depend on the typological distance between the learner's first language and the target language. For example, in an examination of a Dutch late learners who differ in first language, the late learners that exhibit native-like accents were speakers of German and English, which are also Germanic language like Dutch. Hence, similarities between the learner's first language and the target language may facilitate acquisition of the target language. The necessity of the second language as in daily life. The necessity of their second language in their daily lives, be it for professional or personal progression, has also shown to help hone near-native speakers' second language proficiency. A study on 43 very advanced late learners of Dutch revealed that those who were employed in language-related jobs exhibited native-like proficiency. Therefore, the need to use the second language for work purposes aids in attaining native-like proficiencies. Furthermore, late learners who have performed as well as native speakers in language tasks have typically married native speakers of the target language, hence showing that daily usage of the language is one of the factors that lead to high levels of proficiency. By having an environment that requires the continual training and usage of the second language, near-native speakers' proficiency in the second language is expected to improve because professional leaves provide linguistic opportunities for conscious and explicit reflection on the second language linguistic structure, hence helping near-native speakers to become more proficient in their second language. And 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 in and and to achieve near-native speakers, we know that there are an English proficiency level that show how far is English have developed. So at first level we have A1. Level A1 is a beginner. The A1 level refers to speakers who have a basic grasp of the English language. If you are at the A1 level, you can understand some common phrase and words in English. You can ask and answer simple questions. In example, how old are you? Where do you live? What's your favorite color? Your interactions will be relatively basic, and you may need other people to speak slowly with you in order to understand. This level is common on those who have only been studying English for a short time, less than 6 months, or those who have not studied English for many years and do not practice regularly. And at the next level, it's A2. At the A2 level, you can speak in full sentences and phrases on simple topics. Your vocabulary covers a broader array of subjects than it did at the A1 level, but your interactions are still limited to direct exchange of information. You can likely have a full conversation about yourself and various parts of your life. While your listening comprehension may improve, you might still need others to speak slowly or repeat themselves from time to time. This level is common among adults in their first year of study or those who have not studied English for many years. And at the next level, we have B1, an intermediate. Once you reach a B1 level, your English abilities are at the intermediate level. This means that you can speak and understand English for matters related to your daily routine. You can also be much more descriptive about your life and experiences. Finally, you can talk using relatively simple terms about more abstract or subjective topics like aspiration, dreams, or opinions. This level is common among adults who have been continuously studying English for more than 1 year or those who have the opportunity to practice English on a semi-regular basis. And next in B2, we have the upper intermediate. The B2 level is often referred to as upper intermediate level. As a B2 English speaker, you can take part in conversations on a variety of concrete and abstract topics. You may not know a lot of technical vocabulary, but you can still convey complex thoughts, explanation, experiences, and concepts with moderate accuracy. This English proficiency level is common among adults who have been studying English for several years and practice regularly. And we have C1. Once you have reached a C2 level, you are considered an advanced student. C1 level, you are considered an advanced student of the English language. You now have a firmer grasp of more complex grammar structure, implicit meaning in both text and speech, as well as the ability to speak English fluently in almost any environment. So you will make naturally some errors, and from time to time they are likely small and infrequent. In order to reach a C1 level, you will likely need to study English formally for several years and practice speaking or reading in English on a regular basis. This level of English proficiency is common among those who have lived in an English-speaking country for an extended period of time. And next we have C2. C2 is the English assessment of all 6 CEFR levels. At these levels, you can understand the vast majority of English, spoken or written, that you encounter. Though you may make rare errors, your proficiency is near or equal to that of a native English speaker. You can understand a finer nuance of tone, pacing, and word choice even in complex texts or situations. C2 levels have likely been studying English for many years, practicing the language regularly or even on a daily basis with native speakers. And there are 5 stages of becoming a native-like English speaker. Acquiring a native-like fluency in any language is hard in itself if you are only focused on the end game. However, if you break the entire process of reaching the highest level English language mastery into multiple stages, then it's suddenly a much easier picture to paint. If your ultimate goal as an English language learner is to become a native-like speaker, it's imminent you go through these 5 stages at a certain point in time or one way or another. First, it's conversational basics. First step of an English language learning journey are small indeed. However, mastering each and every step at this stage serves as an immediate compass for setting your language learning goals and stimulus toward reaching the more complicated stuff as soon as possible. In order to get the hard stuff and hang out with grown-ups, language learners simply must learn to express themselves at the basic level first, before being able to pick up Hemingway book or watch Nolan movies without any difficulties. The following is a short list of all things that are covered at this particular stage. Learning the English alphabet by heart, using basic expression, knowing how to respond to questions and converse with basic expressions, practicing listening of short conversation and comprehension, the ability to communicate routine information and familiar concepts, touching them on the basics of reading. And second is vocabulary frenzy. All the abundant vocabulary is not the only thing English learners face at this particular stage. It is by far the one aspect of English that we must spend most time on. Personally, I would like to visit this stage on a daily basis even to this day. An English speaker can never know too many words due to infinite amount of situations they can find themselves in. Here are some points that things to be mastered at stage 2. Learning a plethora of new words that are used in different contexts, learning new phrases and expressions beyond everyday usage, practicing proper pronunciation, practicing reading a larger piece of content, learning the basics of English grammar, learning the basics of written English. And next is grammar galore. Once you swim into the English of English grammar, there's no going back. You are either in or you're out. Yes, words and expressions are important, but they mean absolutely nothing if they are spoken in a senseless way. This stage is a gray area between knowing the basics of English expression and turning into a coherent language output in the real world. Here you have some inevitable steps of an English learning that's midway to attain native-like fluency. Getting acquainted with all of the English language tense, learning more advanced grammar, the ability to understand and express complex ideas, feelings and topics, the ability to properly articulate a wide range of language in most situations, the ability to effectively discern and use advanced vocabulary, the ability to read fluently without little to pronunciation errors, the ability to speak fluently but with a lot of pronunciation and grammar errors, having a broad active reading vocabulary with difficulties in understanding infrequent idiomatic expression. And fourth is earn your stripes. It's always become the hardest towards the end. Just wanted you thought you have mastered all the words you'll ever need and all the grammar possible. English pulls a rabbit out of its hat in the form of idioms, phrasal verbs, complex sentence structure, weird writing rules, etc. This stage is about learning the bits and pieces of improving and polishing all of English language skills, even though they are still somewhat rough around the edge. The following things are must-learn aspects of the English before you can head into deep waters of native-like speakers. The ability to understand everything you read, with some trouble understanding all the details during listening. The ability to understand and use academic, obsolete, and slang words and the expression without much difficulty. The ability to produce written and verbal content for different purposes. The ability to follow and understand long formats of a text at once. The ability to fluently and effectively understand and use phrasal verbs. Having a great command of all English tense and advanced sentence constructions with written than verbally. Having a good command of idiomatic expression, both written and verbally. Having a flowed command of spoken English, but good enough to be properly understood by others. And we have arrived at the final stage, which is 5, all hands on deck, where the initial learning process sort of over. That being said, there are these characteristics of virtues of a native-like English speaker. The ability to understand everything you heard and read, the ability to read and speak fluently without major pause in output, knowing how to make inference in context, both written and verbal, the ability to produce written and verbal content for different purposes at a native speed level, the ability to communicate fluently and precisely in complex conversation and discussions, the ability to recognize and understand spoken English in a variety of accents without much difficulty, the ability to imitate the native-like accent, and last but certainly not least, the being aware that the process of learning of the English language never stops, as it is the ultimate form of human expression, one that is constantly developed and enriched over time. So, is it really possible to achieve a native fluency? The answer is yes. While there are some truths to the idea that it is easier for children to learn language, this does not mean that adults can learn and achieve fluency. So, how did this come about? How do adults learn a second language well enough to be considered the equal of native speaker? It is possible for adults to become fluent in another language, but their level of fluency may how proficient they are in that language may vary. Native level fluency or native proficiency as defined in the United States means that you can speak as well as an educated native speaker. So, how do adults learn a second language? Believe it or not, adults learn a second language the same way that children do, through constant exposure to a language. Both adults and children need to constantly hear a language spoken in order to pick it up. It's not just enough, however, you just hear the language. You also need someone to explain the language to you and correct how you use it. In children, this correction is usually initially received from family members, then enhanced when the child starts to receive a formal schooling. For adults, this is why it is important to take language lessons. So, the conclusion, a native fluency can be achievable by non-native with the various way. You can see how fluent is your English with a test and see what level did you get. So never give up when studying English. So that's the end from my presentation. That's all from me. Thank you very much for listening and see you.